In the vast, expanding universe of digital currencies, most are born in chaos. They are like rogue asteroids, their value determined by the gravitational pull of market hype and speculative fear. They rise and fall with dizzying speed. But what if a currency was designed differently? What if its value was not left to chance, but woven into its very fabric, like a fundamental constant of its own digital cosmos? This is the idea behind Pi Network and its Global Consensus Value, or GCV. It represents a silent, stable force at the center of the Pi ecosystem, an invisible heart, pumping lifeblood through a system for the many, not the few who can afford to play the markets. This concept of a GCV is revolutionary because it challenges how value is created. We are taught value is a battle, a tug-of-war between buyers and sellers, demand and supply. But Pi Network proposes a different path. Value can be established through collective agreement, a shared belief in a common standard. This isn't wishful thinking, it's economic engineering. The GCV is not a target for frenzied trading, it's the starting point, the foundational axiom for an entire economy, the ground floor of a skyscraper, not the penthouse. Imagine a universe where the speed of light wasn't constant. Imagine it fluctuated based on who was observing it, or how popular it was that day. Physics would collapse. Calculations would be meaningless. There would be no reliable way to understand the cosmos. The GCV serves a similar function in Pi. It aims to be that unwavering constant, a stable reference point, a financial North Star for every pioneer in the network. This stability allows development of real-world applications and services, creating a system where Pi is a true medium of exchange, not merely a speculative asset to be hoarded and traded. So when we talk about the GCV, we're not discussing a price tag, we're exploring a philosophy, a declaration that worth can come from community consensus and inherent utility, not the volatile whims of external markets, a bold experiment for a more equitable, predictable financial landscape. This invisible constant is the anchor in turbulent crypto seas, a promise of stability in a world of fluctuation, the quiet, powerful engine driving Pi Network toward a different future. For many outside the Pi Network, the figure of $314,159 per Pi coin seems like a fantasy. It's dismissed as a meme, a collective delusion born from the hopeful chatter of online forums. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of what is happening. This specific value is not a rumor, it is not a baseless hope. It is a carefully chosen parameter, a piece of data that is hard-coded into the very architecture of the Pi Network system. Think of it less as a market price and more as a system variable waiting to be activated. It exists within the code, a latent instruction ready to define the economic reality of the ecosystem once the open mainnet is launched. This value wasn't pulled from thin air, it is the result of a deliberate choice by the core team, intended to serve a specific purpose within their grander economic design. It's like looking at the blueprints of a building and claiming the architect never intended to include a foundation. The GCV is that foundation. Its presence in the code is a statement of intent, a clear signal that Pi's creators have a very different vision for their currency. They are not launching a boat into the open ocean to see where the currents take it. They have built a submarine with a predetermined destination and a sophisticated internal navigation system. The GCV is a critical component of that system. The number itself, 314,159, is not random. It is a deliberate and symbolic choice deeply connected to the identity of the project. The name Pi is a reference to the mathematical constant pi, which begins with the digits 3.14159, by setting the global consensus value at $314,159, the core team embedded the project's very name into its economic foundation. This is more than a clever marketing gimmick, it is a symbolic gesture. Just as Pi is a universal and unchanging constant in mathematics, the GCV is intended to be a stable and foundational constant within the Pi economy. It's a way of saying that the value is as integral to the network as the name itself. But the symbolism goes deeper. The choice of such a high value is a powerful statement against the speculative nature of most cryptocurrencies. By establishing a high fixed baseline, the system inherently discourages the pump and dump schemes that plague the crypto world. The GCV is a shield against this. It establishes a high barrier to entry for market manipulators and ensures that the currency's value is not easily diluted or crashed by whales looking for a quick profit. The number is a symbol, a shield, a statement of fairness, all rolled into one, a numerical representation of the project's core ideals. Imagine a ship navigating a stormy sea. Waves of speculation crash against its hull. Winds of market fear try to blow it off course. Most cryptocurrencies are like small rafts in this storm, tossed about with no control. The global consensus value, however, is designed to be the Pi network's gyroscope and anchor. It provides an internal point of stability, a constant reference that keeps the entire ecosystem oriented and balanced, regardless of the chaos happening in the broader crypto markets. When Bitcoin or Ethereum experience a sudden 30% drop, the GCV is intended to hold firm, insulating the Pi economy from that external turbulence. This stability is not just a theoretical benefit, it has profound practical implications. For a currency to function as a true medium of exchange, its value must be predictable. A merchant cannot accept a currency for a loaf of bread if its value might be halved by the next morning. A consumer will not spend a currency if they believe its value might double overnight. The wild price swings of most cryptocurrencies make them excellent for speculation, but terrible for everyday commerce. The GCV solves this problem by creating a reliable foundation. It allows businesses and individuals within the PI ecosystem to transact with confidence, knowing that the value of PI today will be the same tomorrow. This creates a safe harbor for pioneers. In a world where global economic uncertainty is the new norm, the PI network aims to be a refuge. One of the most intriguing aspects of the global consensus value is how the Pi core team has handled it. In an industry defined by relentless hype and bombastic announcements, they chose a path of quiet implementation. There were no flashy press releases, no celebrity endorsements, no promises of guaranteed riches. Instead, they embedded the GCV deep within the system's architecture, letting it exist as a structural fact rather than a marketing slogan. This was a deliberate and strategic choice. They understood that broadcasting a high value prematurely would attract the wrong kind of attention: speculators, scammers, and regulators who might misunderstand the project's intent. By keeping the GCV a whisper in the code, the core team allowed the network to grow organically. The focus remained on building a massive, engaged user base and developing the technological backbone of the network. The priority was community, not price. Pioneers delved into the code, developers delved into the code, analyzed the system, and came to their own conclusions about the GCV. To truly appreciate Pi's global consensus value, we must place it in context. Let's look at the birth of most other cryptocurrencies. They typically begin with an initial coin offering or a launch on public exchanges. From the very first second, their value is at the mercy of the open market. This process is honestly inherently elitist and volatile. It favors venture capitalists and wealthy investors. The average person often only gets a chance to participate after the price has already been driven up, making them vulnerable to the whims of the early whales. This is a system designed for speculation, not for equitable distribution. Pi Network turns this model on its head. There was no ICO. There was no pre-sale to wealthy investors. The currency is distributed through a meritocratic mining process on mobile phones accessible to anyone with a smartphone. This ensures a wide and fair distribution from the very beginning. The GCV is the next logical step. Instead of letting the market decide the initial value, the GCV establishes a high, stable value from within. At its core, any functional economy is built on a foundation of trust. We trust that the money in our pocket will be worth roughly the same tomorrow. The global consensus value is Pi Network's mechanism for establishing that trust globally. By hard-coding a stable and significant value, the system creates a predictable economic environment. This predictability is the bedrock of fairness. It ensures every pioneer follows the same economic rules regardless of when they joined or where they live. The value of Pi can't be manipulated by powerful financial actors or the whims of a speculative market. This creates a level playing field missing in most financial systems, traditional systems, digital systems. In the conventional world, access to capital is often limited by geography, wealth connections. The GCV and Pi's distribution model disrupt this. It democratizes access to a stable store of value. A pioneer in a developing nation has the same GCV-backed PI as a pioneer in a wealthy nation. GCV isn't just a number, it's an ethical stance, a declaration to build this digital economy on equity, stability, trust. A currency without utility is just digital dust. It can have a price, but it has no real value. The ultimate test for any cryptocurrency is whether people can use it to buy and sell real things. This is where the global consensus value plays its most critical role. By establishing a high and stable value, the The GCV makes it feasible for a vast and sophisticated economy to emerge on the Pi platform. It gives merchants and service providers the confidence to transact in Pi. Without a stable value, this marketplace would be impossible. Think about it from a merchant's perspective. If you are selling a car, a smartphone, a cup of coffee, you need to know what the payment you receive is worth. The GCV of $314,159 per Pi provides that certainty. That utility creates a feedback loop that reinforces the GCV. The GCV bootstraps the economy into existence. Once functioning, with thousands of vendors and millions of customers transacting daily, the value becomes self-sustaining. The GCV is the seed. The marketplace of apps and commerce is the tree. In the final analysis, the global consensus value is more than just a feature or a strategy. It is the very DNA of the Pi network. It is the core instruction, the fundamental code that defines what Pi is and what it aspires to be. The mathematical embodiment of the project's social contract, a promise of a fair and equitable economic future. It becomes the beating heart of a living economy, the source of its power and longevity. It is not just a part of the story, it is the heart of the matter.